Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
We cannot all the time, even in the India-China border areas, all the time be reactive. The best form of defense is offense. And at some point of time, we will have to be proactive. And I think that time is coming soon. And I do hope that, we will be able to be proactive rather than just reactive all the time. So I'll stop there. I won't go into further details of Samanvay's question.
Rajesh, Tom would like to add something?
Yeah, I'll take a shot, but I don't really know whether there are areas where we can do something of that nature. But more importantly is the problem that our orientation, both in terms of military orientation, but also in terms of our grand strategic orientation, has been defensive. I mean, that is, it's well known. It's not a surprise. We have said that before, that it is defensively oriented. So that and it is not easy to turn a military around and that is defensively oriented to conduct offensive operations. And even if it is walking into empty territory, that is still requires a change in orientation. I suppose it can be done if we have those kinds of areas, but like I said, it requires a attitudinal change, as Ambassador Bombay also mentioned. I mean, will that come? I don't know. I mean, that is something that I can't predict.
I'll try to answer this, but I'm not a military expert at all. But my gut feeling would be that it would be foolhardy and rather dangerous on India's part. I think that if you are proactive militarily, then I think China would strike back very, very hard indeed. And I think you are risking a proper hot war if that happens. China needs to show that it's strong. And what China's been doing for the past, I started I think really in 2008, but it's got much stronger under Xi Jinping since 2012. This whole narrative of the China dream and national rejuvenation, it does underpin everything. China wants to be, it doesn't want to be humiliated again. And, India felt humiliated in 1962. China felt humiliated in the 1840s, and that whole narrative of national humiliation is still there. And it's all about China's territory and its core interests. And if it feels that those are being threatened, I don't think it's going to fear, sending troops to their death. And I think you'd be risking war. I think it's very, very dangerous indeed.
Thanks.
Can I just
take
sure, another shot at it? Yeah. I do agree with this last, that it is potentially leading to war. But there is, there are dangers involved in such a strategy. But I would note two things. One is that at least as of now, along the
Rajesh has a book on Indian Army, so please go ahead.
Well, that was on a very different aspect of the Indian Army, but at least on the LAC, from what I understand from other experts who examine that very closely, we do have a slight advantage. I mean, as of now, this is likely to change, obviously, as China's military capabilities increase. But despite China's better infrastructure, they do have some disadvantages, and therefore, if at all we are going to do something, or we can do something, it is possibly only in the short term. I don't think in the long term that strategy is over. That will be open to us. The second aspect I would mention is that, yes, even if it does lead to war, there is a deterrence logic to go to war even if you expect to lose, and that is, for example, the Egyptian calculation in the 73 Yom Kippur War was that, not that they expected to win, but they wanted to show they wanted to show Israel that the status quo was unacceptable, and so that even if China potentially wins that war, it is not going to be an easy victory, and it is going to be a difficult victory. And as happened with Vietnam in 1979, I think the cost of that would be quite heavy, even on China, even though others will pay even though India will pay a cost also. So there is a deterrence logic to doing that, even if you do not expect to do well, even if you do not expect to win. But there is also, I think, at least a short-term window where India might be able to at least hold its own along the border because of the way because of the order battle along the border.